January 8, 1:21 PM, District Court Defendant Lobby Number 1. Hello everyone, Triple is back, it's more Phoenix Wright. It's to the Trilogy, Challenge Relations, and the last part of a recipe for Turnabout. So the last recording I did, the second time around, it did actually record the audio, so that was good. But I'm still in the future going to back up record the audio with OBS, just in case. And now this is the last part of Recipe Turnabout. We are getting FURIO Tiger onto the stand. Goddo says he needs 30 minutes to go and get the guy, so, you know, we can all do it in one day. Let's go. So we're finally going to see the tiger on the stand. We've almost got this case won now, Nick. I wish I could agree. Huh? When I cross-examined Mr. Armstrong just now, he said he was just doing what the tiger told him to do. But Goddo picked up on it, remember? He pointed out that without proof, we don't know if what he testified is the truth. You mean you think Mr. Armstrong was lying? I don't know, but if that's the line the prosecution takes, we could be in trouble. Get the feeling that we don't have the case-making evidence we're going to need. Hey, pal. Detective Gumshoe. What are you so jumpy about, Detective? Your hair's standing on end. Hey, that's the pot calling the kettle black, little Miss Topknot. It's not a top knot. Never mind about the hair, just calm down, alright? I can't stand still when I don't have a job to do. I kinda get wound up. Ah! No kidding. You gotta have something you need me to do, pal. Anything. Well, hey, I'm gonna take a jog back down to the precinct. I could get some prints analysed for you if you've got an hour. An hour? The trial will have reconvened by then. But Nick, we still don't have a really decisive piece of evidence, right? True, without some kind of trump card to pull out of the bag, we're really stuck. You said you could get some fingerprint analysis done in an hour? You bet. In that case, would you mind checking the prints on this for me? The bottle. If you're going back to the station anyway, could you find out whose prints are on this? Oh hey, that's the small bottle I gave back to you this morning, right? Yeah, I think it's time we solved the last mystery of who the prints on it belong to. Sure thing, pal. Actually, that's been gnawing at me too. Small bottle given to Detective Gumshoe. Okay, I'll get this off to the lab right away. Just make sure you don't lose the case before I get back. This is pretty much the final showdown, I guess. It's time to separate the phonies from the real guys. The final showdown. January 8th, 1:56 PM, District Court, Courtroom Number 4. Court will now reconvene. Mr. Goddo, did you find this FURIO Tiger? I even tamed him for you. It was a 3-cup job, no problem. Tamed him? The guy's name may be FURIO Tiger, but come on. He's pretty lively. Be careful, he still bites. Very well, please show Mr. Tiger to the stand. Witness? Please state your name and occupation for the... Ah! Don't hide under the table, Maya. Plus there is room for me down there too. Would you mind? What you say to me? Nothing. I didn't say nothing. Honest. Who could have guessed that fear would induce a bad Brooklyn accent in the judge, which I can't do. I got business to take care of, you hear me? So who the hell called me into this hole? Was it you, Spiky? Ah, no, of course not. It was the judge. Your Honour? Oh dear, I seem to have dropped my pen. Where on earth is it? Don't mind me, just carry on with the proceedings as normal. That's it, we're doomed. Maybe you just didn't hear me. I said, who the hell was it that called me in here? There's no need to shout, we can all hear you. What do you say? There's no point struggling. You're caught in a snare. The relentless snare of the law. And I'm the one that hauled you in. Too cool. Don't let him get the better of you, Nick. Let's start with the basics. You know about the incident in question, correct? Incident? I don't know nothing about no stinking incident, mass boy. You mean you didn't attend the previous trial of Maggie Bird? Maggie who? I've got more important things to do than watch courtroom dramas. Of course. Well, perhaps you could give us your testimony then. Please tell us about what you did on the day of the murder. Huh. Phoenix Wright. You was the one who set this up, didn't you? You're gonna regret the day you ruffled the tiger's fur. You hear what I'm saying? Maybe I should have brought a diaper with me today. Get a grip, Nick, says the girl hiding under the desk. The tiger's alibi. I don't know nothing about no murder. I was tied up with business in December last year. Spent all of my time in my office. I got whales lined up to borrow cash from tender lender every single day. You just want to check my alibi? Just ask via letter. At last I found my pen. Very well then, Mr. Wright. Your cross-examination... What is it? Please, witness! If you could refrain from shouting out like that. You know the kind of games that guy in the blue plays? That lowlife ain't no lawyer. He just punches away at stupid details till he wins. Lowlife? Me? Listen up, smarty. Every time you ask me something that doesn't relate to this case, I'm going to bill you $50,000. Are you going to borrow that cash? And you's going to borrow that cash from me? That's one loan contract I refuse to sign. I don't think it ain't going to hurt when you tangle with the tiger. Ha! I love a good spectator sport. Just a minute. That's really not... This witness is... How can I put it? A hungry tiger roaming the urban jungle. Get on his bad side and he'll bite everyone's heads off. Yours too. Very well. I have no choice but to impose a penalty system here. You better be listening. I said I got business to take care of. Big business. If I don't split now, he ain't gonna catch my bus. The court will impose a penalty for any irrelevant pressing of witness testimony. Keep that in mind as you begin your cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honour. You can do it, Nick. Come out from under there already, would you, Maya? The tiger's alibi. They didn't really do this much in the future games, actually impose penalties for pressing, so... oh shit, where do we go? 2. I apologise for swearing, press 2. Are you sure about that? We're talking about 1 month ago, you know? You see these teeth? That's how sharp my secretary is. Sharp? Is he talking about Viola Cadaverini? She writes everything in my scheduler. December, mainly in the office. That's what it says, so that's where I was. That seems like a rather, sketchy schedule. Arrgh. There he goes again. What the tiger did all December isn't the issue. What's important is what he was doing on the day of the murder. So now what? Press harder. Leave it. Press harder. Mr. Tiger, what do you want? If you wouldn't mind going into a bit more detail... This is a dead-end, Trites, and you know it. Remember the rules? No, it's essential that we establish the witness's alibi accurately. I agree. The victim was killed on December 3rd. Were you in the office that day too? Maybe yous ain't listening. Of course I was. I never set foot outside. I had meetings all day with a bunch of cats wanting to do business with me. I ain't never seen that young kid before. I do believe the witness's last statement was important. Mr. Goddo, if you could please... Mr. Tiger, the court asks you to add that last statement to your testimony. Huh. Don't let an animal beat you. Be a man, Your Honour, and ask him yourself. The day you're talking about, I was in the office too. I never saw that kid before. Well, what about this though? Where is it? Calendar. Mr. Tiger, you claim you didn't know Mr. Glenn Elg, but it appears that Mr. Elg knew you. What? Mr. Elg left this little note on his calendar. Meet with the tiger. And the date? December 3rd. December 3rd? That's the day of the murder. So, Mr. Tiger, I submit that you did indeed know one Mr. Glenn Elg, because on the very day of the incident, you met with him. Not bad. You're actually not bad. Sorry? was just messing with you, to see how good you were. Did you hear that, Nick? He said you're not bad. That's one compliment I can do without, plus he's lying through his teeth. Witness, please remember that you're under oath. Lies will not be tolerated. You calling me a liar? Is that what you're doing? Ruh-roh! So you're saying that your claim to have never seen that kid before is the truth? I said I'm dead serious. You better believe that's the truth. Ha. Let's say that gives me time to enjoy another cup of pure black magic. That is, while you testify for the court again, Mr. Tigler. Oh yes, would you mind indulging the court, witness? You never actually met the victim? That's gotta be a lie right there. It's time I nailed this guy. Not in that sense. The victim, Glenn Elg. I ain't no liar. I never met Glenn Elg. There was some lame guy with that name, though, wanted to borrow cash from me. I set up a meeting with the guy at my office, Tender Lender. I waited around for him, but he ain't ever showed. I ain't never even been to that Trilogy joint. You hear? I see. That all seems perfectly logical. You had arranged to meet with the victim, but he didn't show up. I've heard it's pretty hard to keep appointments when you're dead. Very well, you may begin your cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honour. Didn't I tell you I got a big deal going down today? I ain't gonna make my bus now. I'm gonna have to take the express train. That bill's going straight to you, right? Okay, so we go to statement 5. Never been there before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And, oh god, where are they? Oh, right there. Screwed my way backwards. Mr. Tigler, is there something you'd like to tell the court about these matches? Matches? What are you talking about? We found them in your office at Tender Lender. They're from that restaurant. Well, if you've really never been to Trilogy before, what was a book of the restaurant's matches doing on your desk? You've been snooping around in my stuff now too, wise guy? What are you, my ball and chain? Ain't no bra controlling me. Order, order. Well, witness, think it's time you started telling us the truth, don't you? Sorry! I'm terribly sorry, forgive me. I ain't no pussycat. I don't go back on what I said. But okay, I was at the joint that day. What? But listen good, alright? I might have been there, but I still never met that kid. Well, well. Looks like an order just came in for another testimony. I'm this close to proving it was him. He did meet Glenn Elg that day, and he did put poison in his coffee. He must have. At Trilogy. I was supposed to meet with the kid at the restaurant that afternoon. When I opened the door to the joint, I saw one ugly scene. The guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. I figured if the place wasn't hot already, it was going to be, so I split. I heard the cop sirens on my way out, and I went straight back to my office. I see. You didn't actually meet with him in the end, then. Well, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please. Yes, Your Honour. Hold it! If I wait around here any longer, I ain't even going to make the Anomal Express. No more stupid questions. Ha. No problem. Anytime Tripe presses you on something irrelevant, I'll see he pays a penalty. Mr. Goddo, that's my job. Your job is to slam that little hammer of yours and call a guilty verdict. What are you, Francisca? So do it. Yes, sir. The Special Express ain't cheap, right? Just so you know, since you're paying. Oh man, doesn't the rule of law mean anything around here? Okay, so we've got to go to statement 3. The guy was laid out over the table stiff as concrete. 1, 2, 3, and we present... where would they be? Floor plans. You're something of a loan-collecting pro, aren't you, Mr. Tigler? No one escapes the tiger's clutches. Well, I'm something of a lie-detecting pro. And no one escapes the Phoenix's clutches. I think it's time we got something straight. What's this, Trite? A new line of relevant questioning? These are the floor plans of the crime scene. You say you were standing at the entrance, Mr. Tigler. From there, your field of vision would have covered an area something like this. Indeed, the witness would have had a clear view of the victim's seat. Isn't that what I just said? I saw the back of the kid's head. Unfortunately for you, that is not possible. If the court would think back, you remember that between each of the tables is a tall partition. Why, that's true. Now look at the plans again. The truth is painfully obvious. From the entrance, the field of vision of any customer walking in ends here. So, from the entrance to Trilogy, you couldn't have seen the victim's seat. But you did see the victim that day, because you met with him.
Objection.
Wrong. Have you forgotten the old man's testimony yesterday? The victim was alone at his table. But the defence just proved that point to be mute. The victim witnessed by Mr. Kudo was not Glenn Elg, but a fake. What? In order to have Mr. Kudo falsely testify, the real killer posed as the victim he had just killed and acted out a charade. Or charade, either one. That will do. This trial has gone on long enough without the obvious question being answered. Who exactly was this real killer who impersonated the victim? You say the killer murdered Glenn Elg, and then impersonated his victim in a performance for Victor Kudo. In that case, Mr. Wright, reveal the identity of this criminal to the court. Well, it's pretty obvious it was him. Obviously, the killer is FURIO Tigler. No one else could have done it. What? Well, witness? Now that's cute. You think you can pin this on the tiger? Maybe you don't understand. The tiger is king of the jungle. So I dare you to say it again. Come on, you got the guts. You can't threaten me, Mr. Tigler. It's the defence. Go ahead and tell the witness, Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright! Sounds to me like it must be you, old man. You got guts, I'll give you that. Mr. Wright! Do not leave me to handle this alone. Ha! Perhaps I could end this embarrassment. Mr. Godot. Let's just go back over Mr. Kudo's testimony one more time. The old man didn't see just the victim. Oh, no. The serving girl brought him a Javicino, but she put something in it. There's no question about it. She very conspicuously put some white powder in there. Was the victim he saw the real victim or not? That doesn't matter. The fact remains he saw the accused put the poison into the coffee. Yes, it was the waitress who poisoned the coffee. Very impressive, Mr. Godot. Waiting for my absence to launch her attack. Ha! Found your pen at last, Wright? It was in my pocket. But anyway, Mr. Kudo witnessed two people that day. He saw the victim, the supposed Mr. Glenn Elg, and the waitress, from behind. Yes, your point, Mr. Wright? I think the conclusion is obvious. If this Glenn Elg was really the killer in disguise, then surely it's possible the waitress was also part of the show. What? You mean the waitress was an imposter as well? The defendant, Miss Bird, fell unconscious immediately after the incident. And someone used her fainting to hatch an elaborate plan to pin the murder on her. Who on earth was it? Who was this waitress that Mr. Kudo witnessed? Well, that would be her. Who is this woman? Her name is Viola Cadavarini. She's an employee of Tender Lender. You're making a big mistake. Do you know who Violetta's grandfather is? You'd better be going home in an armoured truck tonight, if you know what I mean. Stop shaking, Nick. Where was I? Yes, the defendant, Miss Bird, has stated the following. Well, when I took the coffee over to the victim's table, it's true there was another customer in the restaurant. She was sort of creepy, and she had kind of a cackling laugh. There are just too many contradictions in this case. The second man at the victim's table who nobody but Miss Bird seems to have seen. The earpiece worn by the victim in his left ear when that eardrum was ruptured. and the radio show he was supposedly listening to half an hour after it was over. There is only one logical explanation that clears up all these contradictions. The whole incident took place twice, once for real and once for show. And Mr. FURIO Tiger, the only person who could have committed the crime, is you. Witness, what have you got to say? That's cute. Sorry? You're alright, I could do with a guy like you around. What do you mean? Okay, I'm in on this game. I'm gonna have to charter a jet to get me to my meeting now, but I'm gonna give you one more thing to think about before I go. Something to think about? You got it all wrapped up nice, Wright? But you've missed out one really important thing. But that can't be. I was in the joint that day, and I met that kid too. But I couldn't have poisoned him, you hear? What? Do you really expect us to believe you now, Mr. Tiger? Ha! What a troublemaker. Troublemaker? Looks like we're going to need another one for the road. One more steaming cup of hot testimony. Indeed. Witness, you will explain yourself to the court. I will give you one more chance to testify. What happened that day at Trilogy between yourself and the victim? I need to amend my guide here because I do believe this will be the last testimony. Ties to the victim. Yeah, I loaned Elg cash about $100,000. That day, we was due to have a little chat. The kid had hit his payback date, see? So anyway, he tells me he's got no way to pay up. I'm about to flatten the guy when he starts screaming. Yes, I won! $500,000! He got lucky, you know. Real lucky. If that waitress hadn't done what she'd done, everything would have been over. Now, I see that the principal amount you loaned to Mr. Elg was $50,000. Yeah, well, you've got the VIG to take into account. Interest builds up fast, you know. Yeah. That's faster than fast. $100,000 is twice his principal. And the repayment deadline was December 3rd, the day of the incident in question. Yeah, he was one lucky kid. He got that $500,000 just in time. So I ain't having no reason to kill the kid. And if I ain't got no motive, you ain't got no case. His motive? He has to have one, but what is it? Well, to start with, we're going to go to statement 6, if that waitress hadn't done what she'd done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and press. The waitress, you mean? The girl with the glasses in the defendant's chair. Who else could I mean? If she hadn't got in the way, things would have been bada bing, bada boom, over and done with. Maybe I should push a little on this. Ask about what Maggie did, ask how things would have been. Ask how things would have been. What do you mean things would have been over and done with? Are you all there or what? I'm talking about the cash. I was there to get my $100,000 back, that's all. I'm a businessman. It was all coming together before that waitress got in the way. As far as I can tell from the witness's testimony, other than recouping his loan, Mr. Tiger had no motive for killing the victim. Witness, you will amend your testimony to reflect what you just said. Tiger's motive, huh? I was after the $100,000, I didn't have no other reason to kill the guy. We present... where is it? Oh, I should have gone backwards. Whoops. MC Bomber. So you just intended to get back the $100,000 Mr. Elg owed you, correct? I loaned the guy the cash, so that's my right. Unfortunately for Mr. Elg, I don't believe the $100,000 is what you were really after.
Objection.
What are you getting at, Trite? What else would a moneylender be after other than money? Oh, the moneylender was after money, but money in a totally different league. The kind of money that a single disc like this would fetch. What is that? A computer virus, Your Honour. A virus called MC Bomber. A computer virus? What does one of those do? A computer virus is a program that wreaks havoc on the inside of a computer. A computer? What does one of those do? I guess the beard isn't the only part of his order that is from the Stone Age. I'll explain it to you later, Your Honour. Right now, this is the important point. A virus like MC Bomber would be worth several $1 million on the black market. Several $1 million? Lending money with no hope of ever seeing repayment would normally be bad for business. But in this case, the very fact that Glenn Elg had no way to repay the money is crucial. What? Glenn Elg was a programmer, a highly skilled programmer. That skill was the collateral Mr. Elg put up in order to borrow the money.
Objection.
You're not trying to suggest the witness's motive was to get hold of that program? Exactly. The witness may have poor fashion sense, but he is by no means an idiot, Wright. A man like him could get his hands on $1 million without resorting to murder. Of course he could, provided that he had time. But what if he had needed the money right then? When the pressure's on, the luxury of choice tends to disappear. It seems you have a logical conclusion for this theory, Mr. Wright. Would you care to share it with us? Why did Mr. Tigler need money to the tune of $1 million? Oh, where are they again? There they are. In December of last year, you found yourself in need of a huge amount of money. About 6 months ago, you were involved in a traffic accident, weren't you? An accident involving a car and a scooter in which a young woman was injured. She was taken to the hospital where she underwent surgery. How much of this do you know? These medical papers document the treatment of the young woman in question. According to these, her operation cost $1 million. And yet, when the payment was due last month, you somehow managed to pay it in full. $1 million? A preposterous sum. Someone should sue those HMOs. These HMOs. Ha! No one would pay a bill like that. If the medical association got wind of it, the hospital would end up as dead as a morgue. Mr. Tigler had no choice but to pay, because his very life depended on it. I'm losing my voice, I need to take a drink. Order, order, order! You say his life depended on it, Mr. Wright. Indeed it did, simply because the injured woman was none other than Viola Cadaverini. Did you say Cadaverini? Bruto Cadaverini, mob boss in charge of all underworld activities in the city, and doting grandfather to his precious Violetta, also known as Viola Cadaverini. Pwah! Your life was in danger unless you paid compensation to the boss, correct? It makes sense. You were desperate to acquire the $1 million Bruto Cadaverini demanded of you. So desperate in fact that you decided to sacrifice Glenn Elg's life to pay your debt. On the day of the murder, Mr. Tigler's sole intention was to get his hands on this CD. Glenn Elg had no way of paying back the $100,000 and Mr. Tigler knew it. But then a miracle happened. The kind that Mr. Tigler would prefer to say never happened, but he can't and neither can I. The lottery win? Exactly. At the 11th hour, Mr. Elg won $500,000 on the lottery, which left Mr. Tigler with no way of getting his hands on the all-important CD. At least no legitimate way. So he resorted to illegitimate means. That's crazy. He murdered Glenn Elg and then made his next move, to frame Maggie Bird for the crime. Mr. Tigler posed as Glenn Elg, while Viola Cadaverini played the role of Miss Bird. And then they reenacted the whole thing in order to establish a witness. The witness being the one we all heard testify yesterday, Mr. Victor Kudo.
Objection.
Like I said, Wright, that's crazy. No one could pull off a stunt like that. For starters, there's no way the chef could have been kept in the dark about it. Mr. Armstrong was in on it from the very beginning. There. Have you forgotten already, Mr. Godot? Mr. Armstrong owed the witness money too. $500,000 in fact. He had no choice but to go along with Mr. Tigler's plan. Order, order! Silence or I'll clear the court. You're putting a good show, Spiky. If you want to stay alive in the loan shark business, you gotta be careful. You seen I dressed up like that kid, created a witness and framed someone? If I did something crazy like that, I'd leave a trail as bright as my shirt. I ain't dumb enough to do something sloppy like that. I agree. You do? Despite your appearance, you are very careful. That's why you took one more precaution. One more trick to make sure Mr. Bird had no way out. What? Another one, Mr. Wright? Interesting. Why don't you fill us all in, Trite? What was this trick you say Mr. Tiger performed to frame the accused? Well, that was to... this. What on earth is that? What insult to think anyone could be fooled by such a childish imitation. Consider yourself insulted, Your Honour. Mr. Tiger, you didn't just pose as the victim on the day in question. A month ago, in this very court, you posed as me. What? That's the truth. But the witness looks nothing like you, Mr. Wright. Although, now that I think about it, it was you, wasn't it? No doubt it was you, standing in here, this very court, and me a month ago. The Phoenix Wright who put up the most disreputable, shabby defence I had ever seen. Can you prove that, Gramps? Prove the attorney who represented the accused here a month ago was this man. Are you prepared to take the stand and testify that it was him? Hey. Forget about it, yeah? I want to do something like that, not me. You made a mistake, right? It was someone else, huh? Have you no pride, sir? This isn't a matter of pride. In case you didn't know, Trite, here in court, we deal with people's lives. Mr. Goddo is right. Your Honour? Speaking for myself, I am absolutely convinced. The attorney in question was the witness standing before me now. However, I preside over this cause as the judge, with the vested power to hand down a verdict. Someone in my position cannot be swayed by a memory without evidence to support it. No! If the defence has no further evidence, the court will now excuse the witness. The circumstances surrounding Mr. Tiger are dubious for sure, but not conclusive. But we've come so far. You say he impersonated Glen Elg, you say he impersonated you. But none of that adds up to a murder charge. You don't have a shred of evidence that the witness poisoned the victim's coffee. No! Ha! Sucks to be you, right? Don't mess with the tiger, or you're gonna get mauled. You got that? All we managed to do here was chase him around a bit. But I was so close to getting him to admit his own guilt. Ha! Looks like I won't be needing a refill. If I just had one more piece of evidence. One more piece of evidence and maybe I could get Maggie off the hook. This witness's cross-examination is over. You are free to go, Mr. Tiger. Hold it! Your Honour! Sir! Wait! Detective? Detective Gumshoe! Sorry I took so long, pal. I staked everything on this, my badge, the works. So here it is. My heart's counting on this too. What is it, Detective? Isn't it obvious, pal? It's the final decisive piece of evidence. What? Come on then, get on with it. Oh. January 8, 2:48 PM, District Court, Defendant Lobby number 1. Sorry it took so long, pal, but I finally got the results back from the lab. The results? About the prints, pal, from this medicine bottle. Oh, so, do you know who the prints belong to now? Do you think I'm some kind of hack detective? Of course I know. So, tell us. They're the tigers, right? I knew it. You bet. Clear as crystal, all over the bottle. They're FURIO Tiger's paw prints, alright. That's great. We've got him now, Nick. What's wrong with you? You've hardly said a word since Detective Gumshoe got here. He's laid everything on the line for this, Nick. I know. Look, I'm sorry. This is kind of hard to say, but it really doesn't make any difference whose prints are on that bottle now. Huh? What? Why not? What we need to produce at this stage in the trial is irrefutable evidence that the tiger put poison in Glenn L's coffee. He's already admitted that he met the victim. The fact that his prints are on this bottle, that really doesn't make any difference now. I knew it. Great. No matter how hard I try, I'm never of any use. Hey, don't be so hard on yourself. This was our last chance to help Maggie, and I've been working on some useless piece of evidence the whole time. It's alright, I'm a real loser. It's not breaking news to me, pal. Detective, Gumshoe? Maggie! You've been working on something for me? Sorry I let you down, Maggie. I know you didn't do it. And I'm a detective. We're supposed to be able to prove stuff like that. I'm really sorry. I'll get out of your hair now. Oh, Detective Gumshoe, wait! He's gone. Isn't there anything we can do now, Nick? I wish there was. Gumshoe worked so hard to get that evidence. If only there was some way I could use it. Small bottle put into pocket. January 8th, 3:04 PM, District Court, Courtroom number 4. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honour? I granted you a recess so you could prepare this decisive evidence you've discovered. Yes. Don't keep us all in suspense, Trite. Show us. Naturally. We can assume it's evidence that will actually stand up in court, can't we? Think, Phoenix. Don't let Gumshoe's hard work go to waste. How much more of my time are you gonna waste? I ain't been to no court before, but you lawyers sure know how to blow things out of proportion. No doubt, given the nature of the evidence, it will speak for itself. Nevertheless, you will talk us through it, Mr. Wright. Well, I know I can't prove anything new with this evidence. I'm really backed into a corner here, but maybe if he thinks he's got me beat, he'll let his guard down a bit. Don't keep us waiting any longer, Mr. Wright. Present this final decisive piece of evidence to the court, and that will be the small bottle. This is the defence's final piece of evidence. Isn't that the victim's... Your Honour, naturally, the court is already aware of the contents of this bottle. However, interesting new information has come to light. We have clearly identified some fingerprints on it. Fingerprints belonging to you, Mr. Tigler. What? But Mr. Wright, what conclusions are you hoping to draw from this new information? Everyone in here knows what this bottle contains. Except one man, one person in this courtroom should theoretically be in the dark. My prints were on that pansy-looking bottle. Is that what you're saying? Well, what the hell's in it anyway? A phony trial, a phony lawyer, and phony clues. Everything about this case has been phony. Seems like the perfect excuse for some phony evidence. Mr. Tigler, this is the decisive piece of evidence that will prove your guilt. Why? Because it contains Mr. Armstrong's oils, the victim's e-medicine. We're actually going to pick potassium cyanide. This bottle contains potassium cyanide. Potassium cyanide? The poison used to murder Mr. L, Your Honour. The victim's killer used this very bottle. And on this bottle, Mr. Tigler, we found your fingerprints. Well, how do you explain that? You'd make a good clown, you know that? What? You ain't never gonna get this to stick. You're just making me laugh now. You think a cheap bluff like that's gonna fool the tiger? A bluff? I can see straight through you, Phoenix Wright. Lighting the bottle with the cyanide in it. Oh no, this is the bottle we found traces of the poison in. Don't mess with the tiger. You're gonna get ripped to shreds. The cyanide bottle was brown, and it was made of glass. That cheap piece of trash. Don't look nothing like it. You absolute moron. Got him. At last. What? Why has everyone gone quiet? I said that bottle... Is this the bottle you're referring to? Yeah, that's it. That's the bottle the cyanide was in. But you ain't gonna find my print on that bottle. Don't let that cosy looking suit fool you, people. That lawyer's just playing games. Tell him, Mr. Prosecutor. Tell that guy where to go. You still haven't figured it out. Don't you realise what you just said? What I said? What did I just say? You were summoned to this court for the first time earlier today. If you really had nothing to do with the murder, you shouldn't have known all the little details. For instance, you shouldn't have known what kind of bottle the potassium cyanide was in. But just now, you slipped up in front of every single person in this courtroom. You described the exact bottle used by the killer to hold the poison. You don't know who you're messing with. I'm the Tiger. I control millions of dollars on the black market. You think I'm gonna let some jumped-up suit get the better of me? Sure, the last piece of evidence was phony. But that's just what you deserve. The phony trial with the phony lawyer. It was all played out by you, the biggest phony of all. How has he not been, like, sent down for presenting fake evidence? Well, technically fake evidence, but... Which I can't do in my throat right now, but... What's going on? Looks like a blackout. Well done, Wright. Is the Tiger gone? I saved my 17th cup of coffee just for you. Savour it. While you watch the police restrain your prey. Mr. Wright, you caught a tiger by his toe, but if this one hollers, he won't be let go. Well then, how are things going with Mr. Tiger, Mr. Goddo? He's being arrested on suspicion of the murder of Glenn L. Your Honour. Fortunately for us, we managed to rectify a very grave error. Miss Bird was found guilty in the absence of a genuine defence attorney. Yes, she was. And in the absence of genuine evidence. But the Tiger made one mistake. Indeed. He very nearly got away with everything if it wasn't for that one slip of the tongue. FURIO Tiger is a truly frightening criminal. Ha! The truly frightening one is that defence attorney over there. Goddo. Well, I'm now in a position to deliver my verdict. This court finds the defendant, Maggie Bird, not guilty. Yay! Wee! Yay! Woo! Yay! That is all. This court is adjourned. January 8th, 4:10 PM, District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 1. Mr. Wright, I'm at a loss for words. Thank you, sir. Congratulations, Maggie. I was so mad when Mr. Wright landed me in all that trouble a month ago. But now I feel I can forgive him. Hey, that wasn't me, Maggie. That was the Tiger. Look, Nick, in the doorway. Detective Gumshoe. Oh, guess I'll be heading off then. See you around, pal. Wait! Detective Gumshoe. Oh yeah. Congratulations, Maggie. Thanks. I knew you were innocent all along. Why didn't you say that in your testimony then? Huh? Oh, well, I was... Well, guess I'll be heading off then. See you around. Wait up, detective. He just ran off. Maggie, why are you being so hard on him? He busted his butt for you. It's thanks to him that we got the medication bottle. That wasn't even of any use. But it's only because Mr. Wright used it so cleverly. Detective Gumshoe was just running around in circles. Poor guy. Looks like she still isn't ready to forgive him. Can't you put in a good word for him, Nick? Yeah, Maya is right. I should help Gumshoe out. It's clear he needs it. Maggie? You know Detective Gumshoe's been really worried about you for all of this. I wanted to believe that, sir. But on that first day of the trial, He practically gave the judge a free pass to lock me up. He didn't have any choice, Maggie. He's a detective. He has to report the facts. He doubted me, that's why. He thought I might have done it. I've got to prove to her that Gumshoe really cares about her. I know. I'll give her a little present to celebrate her freedom. Where is it? Here you are. A present to celebrate your freedom. That's a present from Detective Gumshoe, made with a ton of love. He said you lost weight and he was worried about you. Detective Gumshoe. I actually really like weenies, you know. Did you guys hear that? I'm pretty hungry myself, you know. Yeah, the trial dragged on a bit today, didn't it? Is it okay if I eat this now? Yay! So, how is it, Maggie? It's really good. So the case of phony versus genuine comes to an end. The false allegations surrounding Maggie have all been cleared up. And who knows, maybe a whole new chapter of her life is about to start. Episode 3, Recipe for Turnabout, finished! Oh, amazing. Right. Ooh, there's Edgeworth. Really a rare achievement. More people should be playing Ace Attorney, god damn it. So next time we'll be starting the case Turnabout Beginnings. And it shows Edgeworth there in a rather different looking outfit, so we'll find out all about that next time. So thank you all for watching, I shall see you all next time. Good